Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. At the gate of Boat of Mausoleum, great beings like North True Star Master from Eastern Emperor Holy Land heard a cold voice when seeing candidates like Thundercoat Devil God and Tai Bu Demon Master quit. All of you, get out of Boat of Mausoleum now. The gate is closing. If you don't, you won't have the chance anymore. The gate is closing. Only one who's exposed to the inheritance can survive, and he'll be the next Duandong River. Others will all have to die. Go. North True Star Master and other great beings all started to fly out of the gate. They made it just before it closed. Everyone sighed when they looked back at the gate. I really admire you, Thundercoat Devil God. I can't believe you were the one who planned this inheritance, and you made the Divine Eye clan suffer such a huge loss. The Divine Eye clan must hate your guts now. The great beings all watched Thundercoat Devil God, but none of them were hostile toward him. For one thing, he was the reason they had discovered the inheritance of Duandong River. For another, Thundercoat Devil God had only made the Divine Eye clan suffer a loss. In a way, he had just helped them eliminate a huge enemy. Besides, Thundercoat Devil God owned Icecliff Fortress now, so it was almost impossible to kill him. With True God Sector, he would be one of the toughest Universe Supreme Masters in Universe Ocean. Besides, he was a lone Universe Supreme Master, so lots of powers would long to befriend him. I want them to hate me, Thundercoat Devil God snorted. The more they hate me, the better. I was already a Universe Supreme Master, yet I was still humiliated by the Divine Eye clan, and my best friend Kong Luo was killed by them. I don't belong to a particular race, and I don't ask for anything else. I only want the Divine Eye clan to regret what they did, and I want them all to die. All the great beings were dazed. The poor Divine Eye clan, his hostility toward them was so strong. Sorcerer Sprite Master reported it to the avatars of the 5 remaining True Masters. True Masters, Icecliff Fortress was drawn in the abyss, and second True Master asked those who had multiple bodies to self-destruct to survive, which is why everyone with multiple bodies blew themselves up and escaped death. The survivors all described what they saw. That abyss contains unbelievable power, and there must be techniques like illusions. Second and the 7th True Master couldn't withstand it. The 5 True Masters couldn't look more upset. They'd already known what had happened. This was the greatest chance for the Divine Eye clan to transcend incarnations, yet that Thundercoat Devil God showed up and not only took away their opportunity but also killed the 2nd and 7th True Master. 2 Universe Supreme Masters and 2 important True Treasures. The 7 True Masters had a combined technique before. However, after the deaths of 2 of them, their power tumbled. Damn it. 6th True Master looked belligerent. Thundercoat Devil God. Goddamn Thundercoat Devil God. You dared to destroy our hope. We should have killed you. 5th True Master roared. Who could have expected him to be lucky enough to find that Boat of Mausoleum first, said 3rd True Master. A mediocre Universe Supreme Master who has no supreme true treasures. And he didn't avenge himself after what happened. He's just lucky. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. Damn it. He destroyed our biggest chance. And he killed the 7th and 2nd. 2nd and 7th brother, 1st True Master whispered, looking agonized. If we can't transcend incarnations, we need to at least die with that Thundercoat Devil Master, said 5th True Master furiously. Calm down. 1st True Master opened his eyes and shook his head. That shouldn't be our concern. We're approaching our true death, so we need to fight for a chance to survive. If we can't transcend incarnation, our glory will go away forever, and nobody will remember who we are after a couple of universe eras. As the Divine Eye clan was grieving, Eastern Emperor Holy Land and the human race from the original universe had their hopes kindled anew. The ancient ancestor from Eastern Emperor Holy Land was talking with Blue Blood Knight and Yuzon Master. Apparently, this ancestor had high expectations for the 2 of them. Huge Axe Creator and Primal Chaos City Leader were talking with Luo Feng while Purple Moon Ancestor was talking with Deer Bug Master. All the powers looked forward to it, and the burden was borne by those candidates. They had already decided to be exposed to inheritance, which was a path of extremists. Those who bore the best chance were Luo Feng and Blue Blood Knight, and the others would almost certainly die. What they needed was to pass some information back to their race before they died. Huge Axe creator looked at Luo Feng. It's very difficult to transcend incarnations. Even Teacher Origin couldn't guarantee success. I'm still weaker than Teacher Origin, so I'm still far from incarnation transcendence. There are only 2 holy lands after all those universe eras, so you can imagine how difficult it is to transcend incarnations. Even though I'm very confident in myself, I can't guarantee success in 3 universe eras. However, this is the best chance that we humans have, and you're the top candidate. We humans used to be weak, but under the lead of Teacher Origin, we started to rise and became a pinnacle race among the original universe. We've been through countless wars with other races, and several times, we almost went extinct. Now, we humans are powerful, so countless human descendants can play in the virtual universe without concerns. And we have abundant resources to train ourselves, making many races our subsidiaries. We are the strongest race. We have the most powerful hearts. We're not willing to submit to others. Which is why we won't just wither away. Huge Axe creator gazed at Luo Feng. What we want is to exist forever and to become even more powerful than the 2 holy lands, rivaling that ancient civilization and creating a better civilization. This is a great chance. Every great being has a turning point before he rises, and the same rules apply to a race. This opportunity you have is a critical turning point, and we're at a crossroads now. Our fate depends on you. Huge Axe creator stared at Luo Feng. Luo Feng nodded. I'll do everything I can. It was a beautiful world with strange beasts flying as if showing off their feathers. Some of them left traces of fiery light while others were gleaming. In the distance, there were shadows of strange beasts, and some showed a part of their bodies in the lakes farther away. This is the space of inheritance, Duandong River said, standing in the sky. Every generation of Duandong River received their inheritance here. All the other great beings were standing behind him. The gate was already open, which meant they didn't have a way out. However, the candidates didn't have the mental capacity to care about that, as they were all looking forward to the inheritance wholeheartedly. At the same time, they were also shocked at how the long space of inheritance had existed. It's claimed to be space of inheritance, Duandong River exclaimed. But it can absorb energies, all sorts of power including the chaos airflow in Universe Ocean, so that the space can maintain it stable, and so lives inside the space can prosper. The candidates were surprised by what Duandong River had said, but they accepted it quickly, they were used to it already. Even though great beings couldn't absorb chaos airflow, only miniature universes and the original universe could absorb chaos airflow. This rule didn't apply to the ancient civilization. Just like Universe Boat, and just like the space of inheritance, it had existed for an eternity. And now, you'll learn about the inheritance. Duandong River pointed to the distance. Look. The candidates all followed. Gleaming doors showed up on the plain, and there were pictures on the doors. One of the pictures showed a great being controlling tens of thousands of traces of golden light to attack, and there were other scenes on other pictures. The inheritors of Duandong River were great at all sorts of different skills, close combat, distant combat, weapon making. Duandong River pointed into the distance. There are 820 entrances in total, and each entrance leads to a different basic inheritance. One entrance only accepts one inheritor. Milky Way, you can choose first, and Blue Blood, you're the second, and so on and so forth. This is only the basic inheritance to test whether you're a fit for Duandong River. Only one of you will be the real inheritor, and he's the only one who can get the real core inheritance. Start, ordered Duandong River. He looked at Luo Feng. Milky Way, you start first. Yes, Master Duandong River. Luo Feng bowed and turned into a beam of light, approaching the 820 spaces. Numerous space entrances radiating golden lights were suspended in midair, side by side. There was a total of 820 of them. This is only the basic inheritance. I did not expect to find so many different kinds. Luo Feng started to take a concrete form. Suspended in midair, His gaze swept across the doors radiating light as he carefully observed and tried to understand what kind of inheritance each entrance represented. The basic inheritance. This was not that important to the pulse of Duandong River, so it would not mean much even if it were to be passed on to outsiders. That was why it was used to conduct the final round of selection. Yet this basic inheritance that could be passed to outsiders, because it meant little to the ancient civilization, was something extraordinary to Luo Feng and the various groups of powers in Universe Ocean. After all, this ancient civilization had been overwhelmingly powerful. The major groups can be categorized into close combat type, long-range attack type, refining true treasure type, automaton type, and miscellaneous type. Luo Feng's eyes swept through everything. For those items used to control material objects, as well as some other strange battle methods, Luo Feng classified all of them under the miscellaneous type. Close combat type, long-range attack type, and refining true treasure type were simple. And the automaton type was used to control automaton weapons. On a small scale, examples of automaton weapons could be thermal weapons that Earthlings used as firearms. On a larger scale, the entire universe boat could be considered a battleship, which was also a way of utilizing an automaton-type true treasure. A battleship was an automaton type. When developed to its limit, it could be massive. The pulse of Duandong River had countless great beings, and some who had lived for endless years might have other interests, so leaving behind such an automaton type as basic inheritance was normal. Now it's time to choose an heir. Luo Feng carefully observed the entrance of every lighted door. Which is why I should choose what I am best at. If I were to choose something that I am unsure of, I'm afraid just going through the entrance would take me a long time. The basic inheritance is merely the appetizer. The core inheritance of the pulse of Duandong River is the Grand Banquet. Luo Feng's eyes rested on one of the space entrances radiating light rays. That space entrance had some patterns on it. On closer inspection, one could vaguely see a blurred human figure holding a blade and violently killing life forms. This, apparently, belonged to one of the close combat types, the inheritance that consisted the use of blade. This is it. Luo Feng nodded to himself. Blade. Since he was young, he had been practicing blade techniques. Thereafter, he had acquired the ghost blade. Even after he came to own Shawu wings, he continued to use blade techniques. The series of techniques consisting of golden light, fog light, and splitting gold were all considered blade techniques. Through the studies of diagrams of secret engravings, he had also created a blade technique. Throughout the entire Universe Ocean, his understanding of blades would have been rated as top-notch. Lord Duandong River, I have made my choice. Luo Feng turned to look afar and with reverence and said, it shall be the one behind me. Having said that, Luo Feng had made his way to stand outside the entrance of the inheritance of the blade. Behind Duandong River, there were over 200 great beings who instantly showed some displeasure. This was because they all wanted to choose the inheritance of the blade. Among all the Universe Supreme Masters, the majority were engaged in close combat. Thus, the blade was definitely one of the major classes of weapons. Among the 200-odd great beings, many were skilled in the use of blades. They all wanted to choose the inheritance of the blade. It was a pity that every basic inheritance could only accept one candidate, so they had to choose something else. All right, Blue Blood, your turn to choose, Duandong River said. Yes, Lord Duandong River. Blue Blood Knight gave a slight bow. Then he transformed into a streak of light, flew toward the suspended space entrances, and started to choose what was most suitable for him. Next, Water Song. The candidates were sequenced to make their choices based on their performance during the Rhinoceros Emperor game. Toward the latter part, the remaining candidates could only grit their teeth in unhappiness at the few choices that were left for them, all of which they were unskilled in. For instance, refining true treasure type. It was highly possible that the final heir would emerge only as they finally managed to figure out an inkling of what they were dealing with. Merely a short moment later, all the 200-odd great beings had made their choices. Every one of them were suspended before their chosen space entrance. All of you shall enter to start getting in contact with the basic inheritance, Duandong River instructed in an aloof manner. The moment an heir emerges, the rest of the candidates will be annihilated. Understood. Over 200 great beings bowed with great respect, then turned around to fly into the space entrances that were radiating golden rays. Duandong River watched the group of candidates enter with a complicated expression and mumbled to himself, "Space of inheritance is finally being used again. After how long? Just how long had it been? Much too long. So long that my memory has started to blur. When all of this ends, I can also face my own annihilation, as I no longer bear any shame toward my generations of ancestors." Luo Feng flew toward the space entrance, and suddenly, there was a change in time and space. This was a chaotic world. The surroundings below were filled with a chaotic airflow while the atmosphere above was pitch black. Only a single star hung high up, radiating light that shone upon everything beneath. Luo Feng was treading on the chaotic airflow while looking all around him. Where was the inheritance of the blade? The star right in the middle of the vast, dark sky suddenly shot out a visible light pillar that moved to envelop Luo Feng. He made no attempt to shun it away. The instant the light pillar enshrouded him, a cold, mechanical voice sounded. "Core competence, activating the core competence basic inheritance." Instantly, a large quantity of information surged into Luo Feng's mind. Numerous blade manuals that were extremely detailed surged into his mind, from the understanding level for a universe knight, to gradually deepening to the profundity of the blade, to eventually reaching the level of a universe supreme master. Every blade manual was composed from a different perspective. Some were based on the golden space law, some were based on the water space law, and some were based on the earth space law. There was even a functional blade technique that was formed by combining the three most fundamental laws of gold, water, and earth. There were also some blade techniques that were formed by combining gold and time. There were all kinds of blade techniques, but without any laws, they could not be combined. A total of 360 blade manuals were transmitted into Luo Feng's mind at once, sending him into a daze. His brain seemed to slow down beneath the onslaught of information. As there was a tremendous amount of information in every manual, even if Luo Feng had his godly power and willpower to help him bear the load of the information influx, it would still take more than 2 days for complete transmission. Wow! This is simply amazing. Luo Feng was stupefied as he blinked. Within that endless time I have spent on studying Rhinoceros Emperor game, my achievement in studies of diagrams of secret engravings greatly improved, so if I want to create a combination that could qualify as a strongest technique, that should be quite easy. But if I want to create a technique at the level of a universe supreme master, that would be quite impossible. Yet these 360 sets of manuals, every one of them explained a blade technique that was at the level of a universe supreme master, and the instructions always started simple, progressing in complexity. Every manual contained a strongest blade technique that was not at all inferior to the very first axe technique that Huge Axe Creator used. This blade manual did not just simply graze the surface level of a universe supreme master. It actually attained the limit of the highest level of a universe supreme master. Thus, it did not pale in comparison to the axe technique of Huge Axe Creator. And a manual such as this, a total of 360 similar ones, was pure insanity. It was likely that not a single group could achieve such an accomplishment in the field of blades. Of course, these were blade techniques created by other great beings, and not what Luo Feng had created. So even if he were to master the technique, ultimately, the force he executed would never be as powerful as that executed by its creator. The ultimate technique that truly suited oneself would be one's own creation. Suddenly, the dazzling star in the dark night sky ejected 3 streams of brilliance. The 3 brilliant lights each contained a gigantic ice mountain. 3 towering icebergs could be seen falling from the stars to land within the chaotic airflow. Every ice mountain was millions of kilometers tall and clear and transparent like crystal. Within every ice mountain, vague rays would fly by from time to time like meteors. Within the 3 icebergs, countless meteor-like rays were crisscrossing one another to form a beautiful picture. This was a gem that was nurtured by nature itself. You possess the core competence, so you are able to draw references from the 360 manuals left behind by generations of great beings, said the cold, mechanical voice. You are the first chosen candidate for this round of inheritance, so you can see the 3 mountains of blades. Every mountain of blades contains the engravings of the Law of Blades. The Law of Blades contains the ultimate power and reveals everything of the ultimate secrets. Now that you can see the 3 mountains of blades, you can learn from the 360 blade manuals and try to create a brand new blade technique. When your blade technique reaches the requirements, you will become the newly appointed heir to the inheritance of the pulse of Duandong River. When the cold, mechanical voice finished with its instructions, silence once again prevailed. Luo Feng blinked. Mountain of Blades. Luo Feng looked at the 3 mountains of blades before him. Within the 3 towering, crystal-clear icebergs, there were countless rays resembling meteors which were so dazzling and sparkling that the several laws that he had comprehended earlier were outshone. Every ray resembling a shooting star represented an engraving of law, and every bewitching ray contained an endless flow of mysteries. Simply unbelievable, it contains an ultimate power. Luo Feng muttered under his breath. I can feel its power. Indeed, it transcends any other law and seems to be filled with every other law possible. This was a power that transcended all the other laws. All great beings within the universe ocean had to undergo cultivation, during which they had to cultivate the path of laws. Only then could they gain the recognition of the primal universe to become universe knights and universe masters. But the engravings of this law, these beautiful engravings that took the form of meteor-like rays, were transcendent. What? Luo Feng expressed his astonishment. He had tried in vain to simulate the 3 mountains of blades for the virtual universe but was dealt a great shock instead. It was too difficult. Within every iceberg was a great quantity of meteor-like rays. Every moment, they were changing, and the changes were non-repetitive. Simulating a stationary image at a certain moment was a tough feat. It was even tougher to simulate a moving image that was changing every moment. Unless he did not want to cultivate it further. For the moment, I can't simulate it further. Luo Feng shook his head. How about taking reference from the 360 manuals? How about viewing the mountains of blades? How about comprehending the blade techniques? Luo Feng held his breath. Since he was unable to simulate the mountains of blades for the virtual universe, he would give up on the simulation and put all his efforts into cultivation. Luo Feng's eyes drifted over to the 3 mountains of blades. Within the mountains of blades with frost-capped peaks, countless meteor-like rays were dancing. They were stunning. He could vaguely catch sight of the dancing rays of a blade as various blade techniques floated into view. Luo Feng could not withhold his shocked expression. These were, indeed, engravings of the laws of blades and definitely worthy enough to contain the ultimate power. Luo Feng was multitasking, though. While observing the mountains of blades, he was also studying the various blade manuals. Countless blade techniques flashed across his memory. He felt his heartbeats, and the countless meteor-like rays amidst the mountains of blades seemed to faintly form blades that were moving along with his heartbeats. Only upon understanding could one see the deeper secrets. These 3 mountains of blades were like 3 most ancient and powerful great masters of blades. Every blade had already reached its ultimate but was too profound to be fathomed. Luo Feng required the support from the 360 blade manuals to gradually unveil the 3 mountains of blades. In that process, Luo Feng's internalized information on blade techniques was continuously on the rise. Luo Feng comprehended assiduously. Up against the 3 ice mountains, any great being would pale in comparison. And those beautiful law engravings that resembled meteor-like rays embodied the final, true secrets. Just looking at them was a kind of enjoyment, and they enabled Luo Feng's understanding of blades to consistently increase by leaps and bounds. Immersed in the process of comprehending, Luo Feng hardly noticed half a year go by. Although it was said to be half a year, his remote ocean body was comprehending within a miniature universe, which therefore brought the interval up to as long as 5,000 years. Combination. Star River Master may be formidable, but his so-called combination of secret technique, River in the Dark, is beyond rigid. Luo Feng gently shook his head. First, it is similar to a miniature universe, a secret technique used to complement attacks. Although the combination was quite well done, the intention of forming this combination seems to arise from the need for a shortcut. This is the one true path we need to take if we want to come up with a combination of the strongest secret technique. A blade suddenly appeared in Luo Feng's hands. It was absolute guest. Since he had gained crazy demon extermination godly armor, the strongest battle technique he wielded was naturally extermination god, so absolute guest was seldom used. Foggy light, Luo Feng whispered. I achieved a breakthrough for this technique and have brought it to the state of a strongest secret technique, so now, I shall use foggy light to create a combination. Because he was a high achiever in the studies of diagrams of secret engravings, he was able to comprehend quite a few strongest secret techniques while in the boat of Mausoleum. He did likewise for foggy light, which was originally an ultimate secret technique of a universe overlord. He improved it to perfection, and thus, it reached the state of a strongest secret technique of a universe master. Standing above the chaotic airflow and looking far into the distance at the three ice mountains, Luo Feng's hand, which was holding absolute guest blade, suddenly moved. A hazy thread suddenly appeared in midair, left in midair by his blade. It was like a dream, it seemed to be filled with the essence of foggy light. Shortly after, another appeared. Thread after thread appeared continuously. Instantly, a tremendous number of dreamlike threads, enough to cover the entire space between heaven and earth, appeared in midair. As time passed, the speed at which the threads were being formed quickened, and the power of the threads grew more terrifying as they continued to burst out while gaining strength. Streams of hazy threads resembling fog continued to appear until, finally, they all transformed into a shadow of a blade that seemed to fill up the entire void space. As this blade shadow brushed past, it seemed to clean up the entire void space as though it were a piece of cloth. It wiped away everything. It might have seemed like a simple virtual shadow, but it wielded a power that could make one shudder and tremble. The first move shall be named Foggy Light Void Space. Luo Feng laughed lightly. Creating a combination of strongest secret techniques was nothing too difficult for him these days, especially after spending such a long time on cultivation through concurrently studying the Rhinoceros Emperor game and the secret techniques of the Ninth Deep Abyss. Be it the ability to comprehend or the ability to create secret techniques, he had long been highly accomplished. If it was merely to create a combination of strongest secret techniques, Luo Feng was capable of going faster. Yet, after learning the secrets the three ice mountains contained and comprehending the 360 blade manuals, Luo Feng was no longer interested in resorting to such substandard, shortcut combinations of strongest secret techniques like River in the Dark. He was more oriented toward using a true combination of ultimate techniques. The concept of foggy light void space was achieved by continuously superimposing and overlapping until the perfect limit was met. Then the ultimate power would be release. That cold, mechanical voice suddenly resounded. The first move of candidate's blade technique has been created. Luo Feng was shocked and looked up at that star in the dark sky with a slight frown. Seems like the blade technique I created is still under supervision. Whether it was truly his creation or not was, in fact, easy to tell. Executing a technique that he created by himself, compared to executing someone else's creation that he had acquired, resulted in differing amounts of power being released. My combination of strongest secret techniques has yet to meet the requirements. The expectations must be very high. Luo Feng was no longer complacent over his creation, foggy light void space. He continued to comprehend the three mountains of blades. Time passed, and the more he studied the inheritance of the blade, the more profound Luo Feng felt it was, to the extent that he started to feel dissatisfied with his earlier creation, foggy light void space. He wanted to create an even stronger blade technique. Within Huge Axe Creator's miniature universe, Remote Ocean Body sat cross-legged with both eyes looking into the void space. A trace of godly power took the form of a fleeting human shadow that was executing moves from the various sets of blade techniques while numerous blade techniques were being created. The diagrams of secret engravings were extremely skilled in the creation of secret techniques to begin with. Even though Luo Feng's starting achievements in the diagrams of secret engravings were merely at the level of a universe knight, he was still able to create golden light, which was an ultimate secret technique of a universe master, albeit by a stroke of luck. To create secret techniques according to the laws and studying the diagrams of secret engravings to create secret techniques were fundamentally two different methods. Between the two, diagrams of secret engravings were more direct. At that moment, Luo Feng's was changing his mind as sets of blade techniques were emerging at an extremely fast rate, so fast that he practically found it unbelievable. This was how impressive the studies of diagrams of secret engravings was. Compared to the 360 blade manuals, my blade technique is shabby. The path of the golden space should be much stronger. Should be. Luo Feng felt a vague emotion stirring in his heart. After he spent such a long time comprehending the three mountains of blades, that feeling got even stronger, as though the burning passion in his heart was being suppressed by a layer that seemed impenetrable and impossible to break through. Within him, that feeling remained in deliberation. As his comprehension of blade techniques deepened and his achievements in the diagrams of secret engravings increased, nearing the limit of a universe master, Luo Feng attained a clearer comprehension of what his next move should be. In the blink of an eye, 9 years had passed. In the land of inheritance, standing on the chaotic airflow, Luo Feng drew absolute guest blade from behind. The sound of the blade being wielded was transmitted throughout the void space. Upon flipping my palms, there will be one universe. Luo Feng was silently chanting. Rise. His blazing godly power was like the vast sky, and with Luo Feng as the core, it spread out to enshroud a part of the void space to form a world of its own. Shortly after, this miniature universe suddenly shrank and collapsed. As it collapsed, it transformed into streams of dazzling golden blade rays. Altogether, 10,081 streams of golden blade rays were densely packed together, complementing one another as they hacked toward the core position. It was like a giant star that had been destroyed, expanding one moment, then shrinking and transforming into a black hole the next. Its power was simply unbelievable. Luo Feng's face registered a highly emotional expression as he whispered, "This move has met the limit of the path of the golden space, the evolution of the golden space. 10,081 possibilities, all combined into one move. Only the destruction of the universe will be able to bear the weight of its power, a power so strong that it is even much stronger than the self-destruction of great being. This is a true combination of ultimate techniques. It may even be a notch higher than 5 Chaos Master's ultimate technique, which he created with adherence to the 5 great combination laws. This move shall be called Golden Universe." Excitement. Sobbing and sighs. Upon creating this move, Luo Feng knew that this move, which he had finally created upon exhausting all the comprehended secrets, was the true limit of the path of the golden space on its use of secret techniques. It was truly the one perfect move he had created. "The second move of candidate's blade technique has been created," announced that cold, mechanical voice. Luo Feng looked up at that star in the dark sky and waited silently for a moment. Then he frowned. "Heh! I have already created this move, yet I am still unable to meet Duandong River's expectation. Even this is not enough to meet Duandong River's expectation. Could it be I must create a secret technique of a universe supreme master before I can meet his expectations?" Foggy light void space was a stellar combination of ultimate techniques. It was stronger than River in the Dark and probably comparable to 5 Chaos Masters' Great Extermination ultimate technique. And Golden Universe was truly a perfect move he created upon exhausting all that he comprehended to meet the limit of the golden space. The way Luo Feng saw it, this was, theoretically, the true ultimate limit that he could reach for a secret technique at the level of a universe supreme master. There was no way he could further surpass it. If these 2 moves he had created were still not enough to meet the requirements, there had to be something of a higher level that he had to create. Universe Supreme Master? Luo Feng was frustrated. What should I do? Becoming a Universe Supreme Master was difficult. All the diagrams of secret engravings did not work out. With respect to the diagrams of secret engravings, Luo Feng's peak was only at the limit of a Universe Master. Other paths might also be as such unless Luo Feng chose to take a whole new path. Maybe then he could possibly achieve a breakthrough and become a Universe Supreme Master. If he was not a Universe Supreme Master, yet he had to create a secret technique at the level of a Universe Supreme Master, within the whole universe ocean, this could be said to be an impossible mission. Without a breakthrough, there was no way he could comprehend the secrets at that level. Of course, Previously, when Luo Feng's achievement level in the studies of diagrams of secret engravings was only at the level of a universe knight, he had created golden light. Theoretically speaking, given his current achievement level in the studies of diagrams of secret engravings, which was near the limit of a universe master, it was possible for him to create a secret technique of a universe supreme master. Especially with the 360 blade manuals for reference and the 3 mountains of blades as guidance. Theoretically, it was possible. Since Duandong River had made this arrangement, and with the 3 mountains of blades as guidance, Luo Feng should be able to create a much stronger move. However, there was no precedence for this in all of Universe Ocean. It was too difficult. I will have to take a gamble. Luo Feng gritted his teeth and decided to brave his way through it all. In another land of inheritance within the space of inheritance, the handsome blue blood knight looked at the 2 lofty ice mountains before him. Within these ice mountains, there were countless meteor-like light rays dancing everywhere. Even if he could not decipher the secrets they carried, he still found them to be extremely beautiful. I have a feeling, a move has reached the ultimate limit of the path of time and space, Blue Blood Knight mumbled to himself as he sought that feeling. In another land of inheritance, on a chaotic airflow, Deer Bug Master sat cross-legged with brows furrowed in deep thought. Before him was a lofty ice mountain. With 36 manuals for reference, these lore engravings contain the ultimate secrets, said Deer Bug Master. I am a 6-tiered universe master to begin with. I have very easily created a perfect secret technique that can be said to be at the level of a universe master, and even moved on to creating 2 kinds of secret techniques in succession of one another. But I have yet to meet the expected requirements. Could it be I must create a secret technique of a universe supreme master? Dear Bug Master was frustrated. He was a 6-tiered universe master and had lived long enough to know all the secrets required to create secret techniques at the level of a universe master. It was merely because a Holy Land universe was unable to breed universe supreme masters. Thus, he could only remain a universe master. Given his current power, if he were to be placed within the primal universe, he could be hopeful of breaking through and becoming a universe supreme master. And his current power was an accumulation of his experience over umpteen reincarnation eras. It was a rich accumulation, and this time around, he even had the help of Purple Moon Ancestor. Certainly, he would be able to achieve something remarkable. According to what Ancestor says, the lore engravings are the true ultimate power. It is where all the laws are combined. With the help of the lore engravings, it is indeed possible to comprehend, despite the difficulty involved. It all depends on one's ability to comprehend. Dear Bug Master was extremely frustrated. At that moment, several aged universe masters, particularly those from East Emperor Holy Land and Purple Moon Holy Land, who had already created many combinations of strongest secret techniques, all seemed to be stuck at the same threshold. It was just that those who passed the second bottleneck had 36 manuals for reference and an ice mountain to view. Those who passed the first bottleneck did not have any manual to start with. Only an ice mountain to view. Wishing to meet Duandong River's requirements merely based on this simple and basic inheritance was extremely difficult. Yet not a single great being dared to show any hint giving up. They were all trying their best. All of them coveted that slightest trace of a possibility, the trace of a possibility of receiving the core inheritance of the pulse of Duandong River. This video will end here.